What if I told you there's a village with 3,500 houses, but not a single person lives in any of them? No war destroyed it. No deadly disease wiped out its population. Nobody chose to leave. Instead, thousands of people were forced to abandon their homes because of a decision made by governments over 100 years ago. Today, the empty streets of Kayaköy, Turkey still stand exactly where they left them, creating one of the most haunting ghost towns in the world. And once you learn what happened here, you'll never look at these ruins the same way again. As you walk through Kayaköy today, it's hard to believe that this silent place was once full of life. Stone houses cover the hillside as far as the eye can see. Narrow streets weave between the buildings, and old churches still stand among the ruins. But there are no families, no shops, and no children playing in the streets. Only silence. Before it became known as Kayaköy, this village was called Levissi. For centuries, it was home to a large Greek Orthodox community living in what is now southwestern Turkey. The people here farmed the land, ran businesses, raised families, and built a strong community. By the early 1900s, Levissi was thriving. Thousands of people lived here. The village had schools, churches, and hundreds of homes built from local stone. Life moved at a peaceful pace, and many families believed they would spend their entire lives in this valley. But events happening far beyond the village would soon change everything. The early 20th century was a turbulent time for the region. The Ottoman Empire was collapsing, and tensions between Greece and Turkey were growing. After World War I, those tensions exploded into a conflict known as the Greco-Turkish War. The war lasted from 1919 to 1922 and left deep wounds on both sides. When the fighting finally ended, leaders from Greece and Turkey wanted to prevent future conflicts between their populations. Their solution was drastic. In 1923, the two countries agreed to a massive population exchange. Under the agreement, most Orthodox Christians living in Turkey would be moved to Greece, while many Muslims living in Greece would be relocated to Turkey. It didn't matter where people were born. It didn't matter if their families had lived there for generations. If they belonged to the wrong religious group, they had to leave. For the residents of Levissi, the order came as a shock. Families who had lived in the village for centuries suddenly found themselves packing their belongings and preparing to leave forever. Imagine being told that the house your grandparents built, the streets where you grew up, and the community you've always known were no longer yours. Many residents left with only a few possessions. Some carried family photographs. Others brought religious items or treasured keepsakes. Most had no idea what their future would look like once they reached Greece. When the villagers departed, they left behind thousands of homes. The village itself remained almost untouched. The Turkish government later tried to settle Muslim families in the empty houses. But many of the newcomers struggled to adapt. Some came from completely different environments and found the rocky landscape difficult for farming. Others simply didn't feel connected to the village. As years passed, more and more houses were abandoned again. Then nature began reclaiming the town. Earthquakes damaged some of the buildings. Roofs collapsed. Windows disappeared. Plants started growing through cracks in the stone walls. Slowly, the once busy village transformed into the ghost town we see today. What makes Kayaköy different from many abandoned places is that the buildings weren't destroyed by disaster. The village wasn't burned down. It wasn't flooded. Its people were simply removed. And because of that, walking through Kayaköy feels strangely personal. Every empty doorway reminds visitors that someone once lived there. Every abandoned home belonged to a family with hopes, dreams, and memories. Even today, you can still see parts of the old churches standing above the village. The stone pathways remain visible. If you look closely, it's easy to imagine what daily life might have looked like 100 years ago. Historians often describe Kayaköy as a place where time stopped. And in many ways, that's true. The village has become a powerful reminder of how political decisions can affect ordinary people. Millions were impacted by the population exchange between Greece and Turkey, but Kayaköy offers one of the clearest visual reminders of that moment in history. Today, visitors from around the world come to explore its empty streets. Some come for the history. Others come for the photography. Many simply want to experience the eerie atmosphere of a place that feels trapped between the past and the present. As the sun begins to set over the hills, long shadows stretch across the abandoned houses. The silence becomes even deeper. Looking across thousands of empty homes, it's impossible not to wonder about the people who once lived here and whether they ever imagined their village would become one of the world's most famous ghost towns. Kayaköy is more than a collection of abandoned buildings. It's a reminder that behind every empty house is a human story. And in this village of 3,500 abandoned homes, thousands of those stories still echo through the silence.